Live from Shea Stadium in New York, WWOR-TV presents New York Mets baseball. As tonight, the Mets take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mets Baseball 87 is brought to you this evening by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive a hot new Nissan car or truck and see why Nissan makes you feel like driving. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By Burger King, where you get juicy flame-broiled burgers, the best food for fast times. By the 9X Yellow Pages. It's the one you've always had. It's the only one you need. By your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Ford dealers. And by the American Express car. Don't leave home without it. Pitching for the Dodgers tonight, left-hander Fernando Valenzuela, 4-2 on the year with a 3.30 ERA. And on the mound for the Mets, it's right-hander David Cone, 2-2 with an ERA of 4.66.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Jim McCarver and Steve Zabriskie. Also, Rusty Staub, all set for a three-game series with the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers have not won a game on this road trip. The Mets on their homestand have won 2 games against each of the 2 teams they have played. They have 3 with the Dodgers. And Tim, it's, I say, very important that the Mets come out of this homestand in this period with at least 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. And they have to do it against Valenzuela, Welch, and Hershiser, who are the top 3 pitchers on the Dodger ball club. And the biggest reason that the Mets have to hit the road on a winning note is because they play, once they leave on Sunday, they play the next 33 out of 46 games on the road, and that could very well mean how they do on the road trip, how they're going to fare this season, because that's a large chunk of the season that they have to do well in.
And the Mets are facing the only pitcher on the Dodger club that beat them last year. The Mets won 9 of the 12. Valenzuela won 3 games against the Mets last year. Now let's go down to Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks, Ralph, and hi, everybody. Well, the eyes of the baseball world continue to be upon Dwight Gooden, and last night he worked 6 innings, striking out 7 and giving up just 1 earned run in Tidewater. He was accompanied by Mets pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre, who, in spite of some negative reports, still was very, very pleased with what he saw.
Well, last night's game with Tidewater, I thought Dwight really brought a lot of positive things out that I've been looking for. One was he really had a great fastball, regardless of the reports in the paper and hereabouts. I thought he really threw the ball really well, had a lot of life on his fastball. He threw approximately 75 fastballs out of the 105 pitches, and with the radar gun only clocked 5 of them below 90 miles an hour. So he was throwing the ball very hard, had a lot of life on it. But the biggest plus, I think, was his curveball. I've been looking for a better curveball from Dwight with better command, and he showed that last night. He threw approximately 27 curveballs, and if I'm not mistaken, I think 17 or 18 of them were strikes. And they weren't just a lazy curveball. They were, you know, the biting curveball that he's had. It was the best curveball that I've seen in over a year. I think I have to go clear back to last April, whenever he won his first 4 or 5 games for us here, when I saw as good a curveball as Dwight showed me last night. So I think those are great pluses in his case.
Well, Mets fans will be pleased to know that overall, Mel Stottlemyre rates Dwight Gooden's progress ahead of schedule. He has almost his entire stuff back in his arsenal. All he needs now is to polish and get some more command, and Dwight will be ready to rejoin the Mets here in New York. We'll be back with the start of the game tonight, the first of a 3-game series between the Mets and the Dodgers right after this for Budweiser.
For the New York Mets, Keith Hernandez to play at first base. At second base, Tim Tuffle. The shortstop will be Rafael Santana. And at third base, Howard Johnson. Out on left field, Kevin McReynolds. In center field, Mookie Wilson. And in right field, Darryl Strawberry. The catcher, Gary Carter. And on the mound, David Cone. Cone with a record of 2-2, an earned run average of 4.66. He has walked 18, struck out 21, given up 39 hits in 36 2/3 innings. David Cone, his first appearance ever against the Dodgers.
And the lineup for the Dodgers, one major change that we'll tell you about. Steve Sachs, the second baseman, leading off, and the change, John Shelby in center field, as John Shelby and Brad Havens of the Baltimore Orioles were traded to the Dodgers for Mike Ramsey and Tom Niedenfuer this afternoon. Kenny Landreau batting third, Pedro Guerrero, the left fielder, hitting fourth, Mike Socia, the catcher, batting 5th. Tracy Woodson, the young third baseman, hitting 6th. Franklin Stubbs at first base, batting 7th. And Mariano Duncan at short. And Fernando Valenzuela. They got 9 hitters in the lineup tonight.
Valenzuela, a fine hitting pitcher, and tonight's umpires, Dave Malone behind home plate. Dutch Renner, the umpire at first base. Lee Wire, the umpire at second. And Ed Montague, the umpire at third. Tommy Lasorda and his team with a record of 19-21, 2 games under 500. They're in 5th place, 5 games back. The Mets have a record of 18-20. They're in 5th place. They trail by 5.5. And the leadoff batter, Steve Sachs, hitting .270, 1 home run, 8 runs batted in. He has had 43 base hits and 6 stolen bases. He brings a 9-game hitting streak into this game, hitting .429 over the 9 games. Sachs, runner-up for the batting championship last year. Batted .332 with 6 home runs, 56 RBIs. And the first pitch by Cone, a fastball, strike 1. Sachs needed to go 3 for 4 the last day of the year to win the batting title, but he was 1 for 4. And Tim Raines, who was not playing, became the batting champion. And there's a good curveball, but just out of the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. On deck batter, John Shelby, newly acquired from Baltimore.
He's so new, he doesn't have his name on his back yet.
And there's the curve again, strike 2. 1-2 the count.
See Steve Sachs with his name on his back. And John Shelby doesn't even have his name. Now that's new.
That is new.
Let's get in here in a hurry.
Trade was made this afternoon, at least announced this afternoon. And the slider hit out to center field, muscled out there, and Mookie takes the knuckleball and makes a play. That ball knuckling in flight. So 1 away, and the batter now will be John Shelby. Shelby, with Baltimore last year, hit .228. He's a switch hitter. Was in 135 games. And he had 11 home runs, 49 RBIs. With Baltimore this year, he was hitting .188 before the trade with 1 home run, 3 runs batted in. Was in 21 ball games. And the fastball, ball 1. Shelby, 29 years of age, a first-round selection in the January 1977 free agent draft by the Orioles. And the pitch for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. David Cone got off to a horrendous start, and then in his last 2 starts, he is 2-0. Fastball fouled off. What really got David Cone on the track was the exhibition game against Boston. He went 7 innings, gave up no runs, and that put him back into the form that he had shown in minor league ball. And he misses with a fastball. Shelby has great speed. He's had 52 stolen bases in 66 attempts in the American League. And it's ball 4, so Shelby is on in his first appearance in the National League. That'll bring up Ken Landreau. Landreau hitting .262. 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in. Last year against the Mets, he hit .222 with 1 home run. Had 4 hits and 18 at-bats. Dodgers have lost 6 straight. They started the season with a record of no wins and 5 losses. Their worst start ever in Los Angeles. Throw to first, Shelby back.
In those 6 games that the Dodgers have lost, they've been stuck on the number 3. That's nice if you're playing a par 4, I guess.
Even if you're playing a par 3. And the pitch high for a ball, and Cone behind.
They have scored 3 runs in each of their last 6 games. And as Ralph said, they've lost all 6. So they want to get off that number 3.
Another one out of the strike zone. Carter walking out in front of home plate to say something to David Cone, and now Howard Johnson comes in from third. 2 balls, no strikes to count. So Cone losing some of that command he had.
David Cone a couple of years ago walked 114. That was in 1985. inexperience, control problems.
And he misses again. 3 balls, no strikes. Landreau, a veteran ball player. With Minnesota, he had a 31-game hitting streak. And he walks him in 4 pitches, so 2 walks in a row. And the Dodgers threaten. That brings up the dangerous Pedro Guerrero.
Gary Carter's probably telling David not to try to hit spots. When a young pitcher like David Cone with his stuff is throwing to a catcher like Carter, he tries to throw to the 4 corners, the 2 shoulders and the knees. That gives him a bigger target for which to shoot. You don't try to hit a spot on the outside corner, inside corner, unless you get ahead of the batter.
So runners at first and second, 1 out. Guerrero hitting .348 with 10 home runs, 32 runs batted in. So after missing almost all the season last year, Guerrero is back. And the fastball just a little bit low. Guerrero's really been a hot batter. Last year he did not bat against the Mets. And he takes high for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. And Cone running into difficulty here. You get behind Guerrero, you can be in deep trouble.
Davey Johnson and Mel Stottlemyre know that. Guerrero has been hammering the ball. 135 at bats. He's batting .350.
There's a fastball hit out to deep right field. It's way back. Strawberry to the wall, and it is gone. Goodbye. 3-run home run for Pedro Guerrero, and the Dodgers lead 3-0.
David Cone pitching behind in the count will try to pitch behind in the game. As we said, you get behind Pedro Guerrero, it doesn't matter where he hits him. He is so strong. He just overpowered that ball.
So on their first hit of the game, the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead, and they have Mike Scioscia at the plate, and there's a strike call. Scioscia hitting .286 with 3 home runs, 12 runs batted in. So they count 1-1 to Mike Scioscia. Mike hit .194 against the Mets last season with 7 hits and 36 at bats. He drove in only 1 run. And the breaking ball hit down to the second baseman Tuffle, and the throw to first base for the out. 2 men away. That'll bring up Tracy Woodson.
Third baseman, Tracy Woodson.
Woodson in his first appearance against the Mets. His first major league home run came on the first pitch made by Nolan Ryan back on April 13th. That's his only home run of the year. He has 6 RBIs, hitting at .234. And strike 1.
Tracy from Richmond, Virginia, went to North Carolina State. Remember the Wolf Pack down there. Hit 46 home runs in his collegiate career.
And a ball, so the count 1-1. He lives in Mechanicsville, Virginia. Last year played at San Antonio, hit .269 with 18 home runs, 90 runs batted in. And strike 2. Fastball hit off the hands, a broken bat blooper into foul territory, out of reach for Howard Johnson, and Woodson will go back to get some wood.
That bat now a sandwich board. Not be serving fastballs on it anymore, right?
Boy, shattered.
Ralph, I was thinking about this before the game. Tracy Woodson had 3 so-so minor league seasons. He had 219 in '84, 250 in '85, and 269, as you said, last year. He did have 18 home runs, but he's an example of how minor leaguers are rushed to the majors now.
Here he is making the jump from Double-A into the major leagues after 3 just rather usual type years. Nothing spectacular.
Only 21 years old.
2-2 the count. And the curveball chopped out to third. Taken by Santana. They'll have to hurry, and they don't get him. Johnson appeared to pull off that ball. It should have been his.
I agree with that. Howard Johnson, I think, gave up a little too quickly. And I think Howard should have realized that if he doesn't field it, it's going to be too deep for Santana. Watch Howard. He quits on the ball. If Johnson doesn't reach a ball like that, you're not going to get an average runner, and that's what Woodson is.
So the second hit in the inning, and it brings up Franklin Stubbs. Stubbs hitting .275 with 7 home runs, 20 runs batted in. Stubbs last year was 2 for 26 against the Mets all season long. And the breaking ball for a ball. Dodgers leading 3-0 on Pedro Guerrero's 11th home run of the year. Came after 2 walks and came on a 2-0 pitch. This ball drilled down the right field line. A fair ball. Strawberry had to play it perfectly to hold the runner at third. The throw comes in, and they hold him at third as Hernandez relays the ball in. So David Cone off to a very rocky start. Runners now at second and third. And the batter will be Mariano Duncan.
Really a fine play by Strawberry. Watch him backhand this ball, as Woodson certainly would have scored on any kind of bobble out there. Watch Darrell. Well, that is really a fine play. He got to it in a hurry, backhanded it perfectly, and held Woodson at third.
So runners in scoring position, and the batter, Mariano Duncan. Duncan hitting .232 with 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Last year he hit the Mets well, hitting .320 with 8 hits, 1 of them a home run, and 2 runs batted in, and that's ball 1. And again, Cone having trouble. And the curveball, a strike, 1-1.
If you think you are noticing something different about Duncan, you're right. He's hitting right-handed against a right-handed pitcher. He quit switch hitting April 9th of this year.
And he misses the fastball, 1-2.
Talked to Bill Russell, who is now coach with the Dodgers, and he said that Mariano had a tendency to take his outs, the outs that he was making left-handed, out to his position, as a lot of young players do.
He was very weak with a bat from the left-hand side. Hit .229 last year, but had 8 home runs. Curveball got him, and Cone escapes some more trouble as he strikes out Duncan. 8 men batting the inning. Dodgers score 3 runs on 3 hits, and they leave 2 in scoring position. The score at the end of 1/2 inning, the Dodgers 3, the Mets coming up. Now here's a word from the good olds guys. And what a pitcher he has been. I think Bill Webb was the first to pick up the roll of the eyes to the sky. He has a 4-2 record this year, 3.30 ERA. He's worked 60 innings, and he has given up 25 walks, 54 strikeouts, and the first pitch is a breaking ball. As you look at Mookie Wilson. Mookie hitting .311, 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and the Mets trailing 3-0. And the screwball, and 1-1. Valenzuela with that great screwball. And he has a record of 103 wins and 70 losses. Mookie hits him well, and always has. And the fastball misses. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ground ball foul. Fernando with a lifetime record against the Mets is 7 wins and 7 losses. In 1984, Mookie Wilson hit .464 against Valenzuela. Had 13 hits and 1 home run, and the fastball just misses. 3-2. Mookie explains it as you look at David Cohn and Mel Stoudemire talking about that first half inning, that he hits Valenzuela well because he's a bad ball hitter, and he fouls off the 3-2 pitch. There's his career average against Valenzuela. Screwball gets him. Valenzuela with different kinds of screwballs. This is almost like a slider in reverse.
Tim Tuffle batting second and Keith Hernandez batting third. Kevin McReynolds, the left fielder, hitting fourth. Darryl Strawberry, the right fielder, batting fifth. Followed by Gary Carter and Howard Johnson. Rafael Santana batting eighth, and David Cohn hitting ninth.
And Tim Tuffle, the batter for the Mets. Tim hitting .404 for the year with 1 home run, 10 runs batted in. Dodgers leading 3-0 on a 3-run home run by Pedro Guerrero. And the fastball a strike. Tuffle batted .219 against the Dodgers last year with 7 hits. And a ball, and the count 1-1.
That's his slot outside with the fastball, and whenever you see Socia move out there, it's more often than not a fastball. When he gets a screwball, he'll sit behind the middle of the plate.
And he comes back with a breaking ball, a curveball, and ball 2, 2-1. This ball hit out to deep left center field, but it's just a high fly ball. Guerrero makes the catch and Tuffle back. So 2 men away, and Valenzuela will now work to Keith Hernandez.
It was a screwball, and there you see Socia setting up right behind the plate. Tuffle hits it down on the end of the bat some. He didn't get all of it, got up under it a little bit.
And Keith Hernandez stepping in. .296 for the year with 4 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Keith did his best hitting last year against the Dodgers. He hit .440 against them with 22 hits, driving in 11, and he had 2 home runs. And the fastball, ball 1. They've always said that a left-hand hitter is the best way to go at a left-handed screwball pitcher.
Even though Valenzuela, in my opinion, is not, his other stuff is much, much better than most guys who throw a screwball.
That's a much better curveball than most screwball pitchers, and it's reverse action.
And a good fastball, too.
There's the screwball and a good one, and that's his big screwball right there.
There are a lot of left-handed pitchers that won't throw their best pitch, which is the screwball, against left-handed hitters, but not so Valenzuela. That's the proper approach, too. You can't take your best pitch away just because a left-handed hitter's up there.
And the fastball sneaking on by. It's fouled off to the left side, 1-2. Last year, Valenzuela, with his first 20-game season, he was 21-11. Rift to right field into the corner. It should be extra bases. Landreau plays it back in, and Keith Hernandez continues to hit Valenzuela and the Dodgers hard.
Keith Hernandez, I guarantee you, looking inside, Valenzuela shook off Mike Socia, and Hernandez rips that down and in fastball to right field. With 2 strikes, you're not inclined to guess, but you are inclined to look. That's what Hernandez does so well. Look. That's
Perfect
a good swing, isn't it? Nice.
And that's why he's so consistent with that bat, with that kind of a swing. Now the batter, Kevin McReynolds, he takes inside. A fastball for ball 1. McReynolds batting .292 with 6 home runs, 19 runs batted in. He, too, wore out the Dodgers last year when he was with San Diego. Hit .373 against them. And a strike call. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reynolds with 25 hits against the Dodgers last year. 2 of them home runs, and he drove in 8. And he's .333 against Valenzuela. And a strike call, 1-2. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. One and two the count. Hernandez, the runner at second. The Mets trailing 3-0. We're in the bottom of the first. Struck him out with a screwball. So Fernando Valenzuela with 2 strikeouts gave up 1 hit. The Mets left 1. And the score at the end of 1, the Dodgers 3, the Mets 0. Now here's a word from American Express, leading 3-0. Here's the battery of the Dodgers.
And leading off.
And that battery flashing signs with Keith Hernandez up the last time on second base.
Fernando Valenzuela.
And here is Fernando Valenzuela. Valenzuela batting for the first time as the Dodgers sent 8 men to the plate in the first inning and scored 3 runs, and he fouls off a fastball. Valenzuela has 6 home runs, 48 RBIs in his major league career. No home runs this year. He has driven in 2, and he's had 4 base hits. Curveball hit hard right at Santana. So 1 away. And it brings up Steve Sax. Sax flat out to center field his first time up. A lot of things happened to Steve Sax this winter. One of them was that his Cocker Spaniel got sick. Rather earth-shattering thing right there. He took the Cocker Spaniel to an animal hospital, met a lovely girl there, and married her. So it's a good way to get married, I guess. 1-0, the count to Steve Sax.
His wife's a veterinarian, or
she works there, yeah.
Oh, was she a veterinarian?
I guess so.
She could work there and not be a veterinarian.
Well, maybe she sold dog collars. I don't know. 1-1 the count. Good fastball. 1-2. Sax hitting 184 against the Mets. He led all hitters in the National League on artificial turf, hitting 388. Slider, and it's 2-2.
Steve had his best year last year, batting .332. He was second in the league to Tim Raines of the Expos.
And it's 3-2 as Cone continues to have difficulties with his location.
He's got a lot of release points. When he drops down to right-handed hitters like that, that's another one that he has to master.
Hit hard by Keith Hernandez, and Strawberry hustling after it. Sax holds at first base. And we'll see how they score that one.
Well, it was a tough play, but it was a play that Keith Hernandez, or a ball that Keith Hernandez normally comes up with. It's interesting after a ball like that, when the runner's at first base, how he looks at the scoreboard to see how it's scored. You might see Sax kind of peeking out at the scoreboard to see if it was an error or hit.
Some guys peek and some guys just look at it, and it's being scored a base hit, so Sax will be happy.
Yeah, he's probably already seen it. Some guys just blatantly look out there. I know I used to. That's your means of making a living. I'll guarantee you, you're concerned whether it was a hit or an error.
Now a strike call.
Some guys try to wipe their brow. They look up under their arm. Right, put their hand over their face, look between their fingers.
There's no doubt about it. You're always sneaking it. But there are guys that just said, where is it? Let's go. High fly ball to center field hit by John Shelby. And Mookie makes the play. Shelby had walked his first time up in his first appearance in the National League since coming over from Baltimore. That trade made today. So now 2 men out, and the batter will be Ken Landreau. Dodgers really having some outfield problems, which is the reason for that trade. They sent Tom Niedenfuhr over to Baltimore as the key man in that deal.
And a still shaky bullpen. The Dodgers with only 4 saves. Niedenfuhr with a couple of them. They have really had problems in their bullpen.
They throw some pretty good starters at you. But when you get into that bullpen, it's more like comic relief. 1 ball, no strikes. Niedenfuhr, of course, having troubles over his last couple of years in the bullpen. Throw to first base. Niedenfuhr, the man who threw up one of the most dramatic home runs ever hit against the Dodgers, and that was Jack Clark, who hit a 3-run home run with first base open to win the playoffs for the Cardinals. And the runner goes, the throw down in plenty of time, and Steve Sachs is out. That ends the inning. 1 hit, no one left, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Dodgers 3, the New York Mets nothing. Now here's a word from Sunoco. Who's leading 3-0. It'll be Strawberry and Carter as the first 2 batters. And coming in now for the play-by-play, a man who threw out runners just like this, Tim McCarver.
Well, Gary Carter really had a good jump on the ball. He was on the balls of his feet. Everybody thinks that outfielders are the only ones to have good jumps on the ball. Well, catchers do the same thing. It's important for them to have a good ball to throw, and Gary had one then. Here's Strawberry, batting .279 with 10 home runs. Ball 1. 3-0. Dodgers on top. 2 walks and Pedro Guerrero's 11th home run in the first. Good screwball. 1-1 to Strawberry. Curveball tapped foul, so it's 1-2. Strawberry in the hole.
That's a major league curveball right there. And as we mentioned earlier, seldom do screwball pitchers throw a good curve.
Another screwball gets Strawberry, and Valenzuela is sharp. 3rd strikeout for Fernando. 1 away, and Gary Carter the batter.
Leader in strikeouts, Mike Scott with 78. Ryan is second with 63, and Fernandez third with 55 at the start of the action. Valenzuela has now gone into 3rd position on the strikeout list with 57.
Gary Carter batting .230. Valenzuela, what a year last year. His first year winning 20 games. He was 21-11. Second to Scott in innings pitched and strikeouts. However, he had 20 complete games. That was more than 14 major league teams. Valenzuela's 20 complete games last year, more than 14 entire teams. Ball 2 to Carter, 2-0.
And this is the league that doesn't have the DH. You'll see more complete games in the American League because there is a DH. They don't get taken out of the game when you're behind in the later innings. Valenzuela, of course, a good hitter. That keeps him in there.
And a screwball on the 3-run lead is an indication of what kind of confidence that Valenzuela has in that pitch. It's 2-1 to Carter. Another screwball, 2-2.
This is the hard screwball that breaks sharply and not as far. It's got that natural motion for a screwball. Not every pitcher can do that. He was taught that screwball by a Dodger pitcher,
Bobby
Castillo.
Bobby Castillo, right. Got him with a fastball on the inside corner, and if you think that's not a super sequence of pitches, think about it. 2 screwballs with the count 2-0, and then an inside fastball.
And just perfect command of his pitches as he picks up that corner pitch and gets his 4th strikeout. That's 3 in a row for him after the double by Keith Hernandez.
Howard Johnson batting .254, and Hojo's been hot. 5 home runs in the last 10 ball games. Fastball right down Broadway. No balls, 1 strike to Howard Johnson.
Howard didn't have a hit against the Dodgers last year, but was up only 6 times against them.
On the corner. And 2 to Johnson. So far, through 6 batters, you are seeing an example of Mexican artistry. Check swing. Valenzuela will go to first, and he got him. 3 up, 3 down for the Mets in the second. After 2, it's 3-0 Dodgers. We'll be back after this word from Lincoln Mercury. Leads it off for the Dodgers here in the 3rd inning. Los Angeles leading 3-0. Landro was on base, and he scored in front of Guerrero's 11th home run in the 1st inning. With 1 out, Cohn walked 2, and then the 2-0 fastball boom. And another boom to left field, not quite the sonic boom, as Guerrero's, he's going to try for 2. Got him at second. Landro out, trying to stretch a single into a double.
Well, another great play by Kevin McReynolds, and he throws a bullet into second all the way in the fly, and it took a perfect throw to get him. The tag is made as the ball arrives just in time. Tuffle getting there and getting the glove in front of the sliding foot. Tuffle doesn't know where he is. He just puts that glove right down on the bag in front, and the foot comes into it. Good job on both ends, but a great job by McReynolds.
Outstanding play by Kevin McReynolds, and the curveball to Guerrero is a strike. Pedro ought to laugh. He's hitting 11 in a row with 11 home runs. There's the pitch he hit out, Ralph, but the big difference is it's
different count.
0-1 as opposed to 2-0.
And he got a curveball on the first pitch, so then you're in between. But he had a 2-0 pitch to hit. It was a fastball, and he was sitting on it.
Breaking ball gets him. Boy, that's another illustration of why it's so important to stay ahead. 2 away.
Well, he threw him just 3 outstanding pitches right here, and 2 of them breaking balls. But he started him off with a curveball, and that set up the fastball. Then he came back and got him with the slider.
Here's Mike Socia from Upper Darby, PA. And the breaking ball is inside. Mike went to Marple Newtown High in Upper Darby. Now has a $5,000 scholarship fund where he contributes $5,000 every year in honor of his mother. Athletic Scholarship Fund at Marple Newtown. He is a fine, fine young man and one of the real leaders of this Dodger ball club. Tough as a fast food steak. 2-1 to Socia.
He's tough. He's tough to strike out, too. He battled him.
He's tough to bowl over at the plate, too. Ask Joe Hesketh of the Montreal Expos and a number of other National League runners. Popped up, however. Johnson in. And Johnson in, and he makes the catch. Having to look at that mound, Howard looked very unsure. Didn't appear to pick it up, but he makes the catch. No runs a hit, none left in the 3rd after 2.5, 3-0 Los Angeles. We'll be back after this word from the Pan Am
Mets and some of the greatest Dodgers will be here tomorrow. The Mets All-Stars against the Brooklyn Dodger Heroes. That's tomorrow starting at 12:30. It's Equitable Old Timers Day as your favorite Mets stars will play Brooklyn Dodger Heroes prior to the start of the regularly scheduled Mets-Dodger game. Gates will be open at 11:50. Tickets are available at all Ticketron outlets at Shea Stadium's events ticket window or by calling 718-507-TIXX for all ticket information.
Here's Rafael Santana to lead off the 3rd with the Mets trailing 3-0. Pedro Guerrero's 3-run homer in the first. The only damage by either team. The Dodgers with 5 hits, the Mets with 1. And the fastball is high, 2-0 to Santana. Strike 1. Screwball, 2-2. Looks like Valenzuela's throwing that screwball harder tonight than he usually does.
It really has a short snap on it, and it's breaking quickly. It's a lot like a split finger fastball in the way it drops down.
Fastball fouled away. Well, there's a truism in baseball that good pitching will carry poor hitting further than good hitting will carry poor pitching. Truism as far as I'm concerned, and I'll state a couple of facts for you to prove that truism. Good screwball, got him. 5th strikeout for Valenzuela.
And again, it's that quick screwball dropping down out of the strike zone. And he has struck out 4 of his last 5 batters.
Here's David Cone. David looking for his first major league hit. He's 0 for 11. There's a strike. The Mets are 18-20 this year after 38 games. Last year after 38, there were 27-11. Strike 2 to Cone. And the Mets scored 1 more run after 38 games last year than they have this year. Last year after 38, they had 181. This year after 38 games, they've scored 180. Another strikeout for Valenzuela, 2 away. The biggest difference this year has been pitching.
Number 1, Mookie.
That's trying to shore up their pitching staff. They lost Dwight Gooden, Roger McDowell. Bobby Ojeda will be operated on tomorrow. Sid Fernandez has missed a turn. So there, as far as the Mets situation is concerned, that's it in a nutshell. Fastball inside, 1-0.
Mets as a team hitting .272 with 45 home runs.
Yeah, their home runs are up over last year. Their batting average is up. They've scored 1 fewer runs. They have had some recent success against Valenzuela, but a new year. The Dodgers struggling. They have lost 6 in a row. The Mets have lost 18 out of their last 30 games, but have won 4 out of 6. 2-1 to Wilson. Well hit to left. This has got a chance. Way back, out of here. Mookie Wilson. 3-1 Dodgers.
Mookie, it's his 2nd home run of Fernando Valenzuela in his major league career. He came in batting .333 against Fernando. And for Mookie Wilson, his 4th home run of the year, and there is no doubt about it. So the Mets are on the scoreboard as the Mets pick up their 46th home run.
And here's Tim Tuffle. Skied to left his first time up, and the curveball for a strike, 0-1. Fastball misses. And when he misses outside of that fastball, he does not miss by much. That, by the way, the 5th home run yielded by Fernando on the season. Ball 2 outside, 2-1.
Home run coming off the screwball.
Tuffle has been on base in 19 of 23 starts. Outside, 3-1. Fernando originally purchased from the Mexican League back in 1979. This one hit deep to right, but Landreau is over, and he makes the catch. But the Mets are on the board. One hit, a home run by Mookie Wilson, his 4th of the year. And they strand no one. It's 3-1 Dodgers after 3. Rusty joins Ralph after this word from Metropolitan Light.
4th inning, the Dodgers leading by a score of 3-1, and coming in to join me on the broadcast, Rusty Staub.
Hi, Ralph. Good to be here.
All right, good game going right now. The Dodgers off to a quick start on a 3-run home run by Pedro Guerrero, and the Mets getting one back on the home run by Mookie Wilson. And now for the Dodgers, here in the 4th, it'll be Tracy Woodson to lead it off. Tracy with an infield base hit his first time up. David Cone working for the Mets. And a good fastball.
Tracy Woodson's first home run was a very memorable one, I'm sure. He hit it off of Nolan Ryan. I don't think you would ever forget that in your life. Your first
pitch.
one.
First pitch to Ryan threw it. Bouncing out to Tuffle at second. So one away. This game is brought to you in part by RC Cola. People go out of their way for the taste of RC, and by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lincoln Mercury Mercer dealers. Now the batter will be Franklin Stubbs. Stubbs doubled to right his first time up. Last year against the Mets, he had 2 hits and 26 at-bats, hit 077. This year, he's hitting 1,000.
What a difference a year makes, right?
And a high foul ball. Pete Hernandez over to look, and that's all he can do. I always remember a statement that you made once, Rusty. They were talking about spring training, and you said if you can't be optimistic in spring training, you can never be optimistic.
Well, that's for sure. I'm sure that a lot of people on a lot of clubs coming into this season felt like they were going to have a good start. I think you have to have that kind of an attitude coming in.
Good fastball, and the count's.
I don't think very many people would have thought that the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets would be holding up the National League East at this time.
Phillies have won 16, lost 21, 7 games out.
But it's a long season, and I do think both those teams will be coming back and playing well before this season is over.
1-2. Dodgers also in 5th place. They trail by 5. And that fastball just does miss. 2-2. Dodgers off to a slow start. They were 0-5 after 5 games in the season, and now they've lost 6 in a row. So their 2 losing streaks really hurting them. High foul ball, and it will be out of play.
Timmy pointed out that 3 was the number the Dodgers have been stuck on for the last 5 or so games, 5 or 6 maybe. They've got 3 runs now. It'll be interesting to see if they get any more. If they don't, their record has not been good.
Len Matuzik in the bullpen hitting 1,000. Good breaking ball. So Cone now settling in, picking up his 3rd strikeout.
And the Nissan scoreboard in the National League. It's a final in Chicago. The Braves 9-5 over the Cubs. In the 4th inning, all tied 1 apiece. The Pirates at Cincinnati. In Philly, Giants ahead 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning. No score yet. Cardinals at the Astros, and the Expos in San Diego later.
Now the batter will be Mariano Duncan. Duncan was struck out looking at a breaking ball his first time up. Hitting 232, and the fastball hit out to deep right field. Strawberry back to the warning track, and he uses all the room that he can use. That retires the side, a 1-2-3 inning, and the score at the end of 3.5 innings. The Dodgers 3, the New York Mets 1. Now here's a word from RC Cola. Hernandez to lead off. Dodgers leading by a score of 3-1. Mets have had 2 hits, a home run by Mookie Wilson and a double by Keith Hernandez. On the mound, Fernando Valenzuela. Hernandez hitting .440 against the Dodgers last year with 22 base hits. Again, off to a good start this year, 1 for 1. And the fastball a strike. Mets with the heart of their batting order coming up against Fernando in this inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You keep seeing Keith Hernandez look at his hands, adjusting his knuckles all the time. We've talked about there. You see it right there. He just is really conscious of keeping those little knuckles aligned.
And the off-speed pitch for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Great hand strength, and just gets an awful lot of snap into the ball with that type of an alignment.
And the screwball way inside. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Fernando may not know exactly how to handle this 3 runs in the first, Ralph.
It's a lot of insurance for him. And the strike call, 3 and 2.
There you see his little knuckles aligned right there. That's what he wants. Really gets them popping those hands. Nice job, Billy.
Ground ball up the middle. It is backhanded by Sachs, and he gets his man. Sachs, who had trouble for several years throwing. In fact, he made considerable errors at second base. He's settled down.
Well, that was awfully nice play, because that ball, you know, he doesn't go as well up the middle as he does in the hole. Most second basemen move better. Okay, now on the air here now we see McReynolds coming over and making an excellent throw to second base. Tag right in front of the bag. He slides right into the glove. Cannot miss that.
Now McReynolds at the plate, and he fouls it off to the left side for strike 1. McReynolds was struck out swinging at a screwball his first time up.
So we were saying, though, Sachs definitely moves better in the hole, and that was a tough hop for him. He made a fine play.
And this ball fouled off. They tell a great story about Guerrero playing third base and Sachs at second. And the
great.
Dodger infield always making all kinds of errors. They led the league in errors for a couple of years. And so Lasota had a meeting, and he called the players in, and he was raving about the errors. And he said to Guerrero, "What do you think about before the pitch?" And Guerrero says, "I think of 2 things." And this one popped up on the first base side, is playable. Franklin Stubbs makes the catch. Guerrero said, "I think of 2 things. First, I pray they don't hit the ball to me. And second, I pray they don't hit the ball to Sachs."
But Steve Sachs has certainly developed into not only an outstanding offensive player, but defensively at second base, he has become a much better second baseman. And that only comes from hard work.
Now the batter, Darryl Strawberry. Darryl struck out his first time up, and it's ball 1. Incidentally, right about a week after that, they moved Guerrero back to the outfield, and he started to hit again. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers leading 3-1. 2 men out, bottom half of the 4th inning.
That was actually the second time they had moved Pedro Guerrero unsuccessfully to third base.
This ball is gone. Goodbye. A monstrous home run for Darryl Strawberry, and the Mets have pulled to within 1.
Well, you're right about one thing, Ralph. That was a monstrous home run. I hope we can see where this ball actually hits. I didn't even see it with the naked eye. It just was so far out there, I didn't pick it up. And here it comes. Freddie with a fastball right out over the plate. Darryl crushes it.
Off, I mean, high up there on that scoreboard, Ralph. That may be the longest ball on that scoreboard I've ever seen.
And it's for Darryl, his 11th home run, and there's a ground ball hit to the shortstop, Duncan. And Carter is thrown out, and that retires the side. But the Mets get 1 in the home run by Strawberry. Leave no one, and the score at the end of 4. The Dodgers 3, the Mets 2. Now here's a word from the good Olds guy.
Hernandez has constantly talked to Darryl Strawberry about is keeping that front shoulder in against left hand. See him right there? He's telling him as he comes in after hitting a monstrous home run. Way to keep that front shoulder in, Darryl.
So Strawberry with a home run to put the Mets within one. He has one of the 3 hits. Hernandez has one. And Mookie Wilson a home run for the other.
Leading off the 5th inning.
Oh, I mean, that's just everything is into that.
Fernando Valenzuela.
Just watch this. I don't think Darryl really feels like this is going to make it out of the ballpark.
I mean, when that ball went off the bat, it was out of here. And now we're going to the top of the 5th. The leadoff batter, Valenzuela, in the first pitch, ball 1. Valenzuela lined out the short his first time up. He's a fine hitter. And he fouls off a fastball.
Freddie trying to get that run back. Vicious hack.
They say he's a switch hitter, but they won't let him bat from the right-hand side with the left arm exposed to the pitcher. And he's a good hitter as a switch hitter. And there's a good fastball, 1 and 2.
Well, I think the New York Mets made that same decision with Dwight Gooden, who definitely could be a switch hitter. Used to do it in his early days. They were afraid that front arm, that pitching arm, might get hurt.
And in the fastball, and the count stays at 1 and 2. In spite of his build, and he looks a lot like Babe Ruth in size and build, he's an outstanding defensive player. He is quick. And another one fouled off as the fastball is fouled straight back.
He's actually a lot lighter than he was when he first came up. He lost a tremendous amount of weight. I think he's put a little bit of that weight back on, but not a lot of it.
Curveball hit off the hands down to Keith Hernandez, and Valenzuela, not even running, is out easily.
Met fans kind of giving a big boo here to Valenzuela, and now we're going to see their Nissan American League scoreboard. In the 4th inning, all tied up in Boston. White Sox and the Red Sox 3-3. Bottom of the 2nd, 2-0 Tigers over the Twins. No score. Top of the 1st. Just starting in the Indians are playing the Brewers in Milwaukee. No score also the Royals in Texas. And the Yankees, Angels, Orioles, Athletics, Blue Jays, and Mariners all later tonight.
And right now here at Shea, it's 3-2 Dodgers with 1 away in the 5th, and the batter is Steve Sachs, and he fouls off a fastball. Sachs with a base hit and 2 times up. Steve hitting .270 so far this year. Fastball again fouled off. Strike 2.
And a lot of that has been lately, Ralph. He did not get off to a good start, but in the last 19 games, he's hit .377. So he has been swinging the bat excellently for this last 2.5 weeks.
Two strikes again. And Nolan tries to break the ball, just does miss. He's got a major league curve. Chased the pitch. Carter thought it was the 3rd out of the inning as he started for the dugout, and then realized it wasn't. And he threw on down to 3rd. That'll bring up John Shelby.
Well, here we're going to see an over the top. We talk about this from time to time. When young David Cone stays on the top, his breaking ball moves extremely well, tight, down and away. He has a tendency to like that sidearm pitch, but over the top is when he's the most effective.
And Shelby takes a fastball for ball 1. Shelby walked and scored in the 1st, flied out to center field in the 2nd. Fastball fouled off. 1-1.
This was kind of a bold move by the Dodgers. Both players coming from Rochester.
And the breaking ball.
Both Shelby and Havens are on the AAA roster, Baltimore organization. Tom Niedenfuhr going to Baltimore directly.
High foul ball out of play. Havens, 27 years ago, he had his finest year as a major leaguer with the Twins. In 1982, is 10-14. Started his professional career with the California Angel organization. Three and two, missed with a fastball.
Certainly new life for John Shelby.
Ground ball to Keith Hernandez at first. And the Dodgers go in order. That's 8 in a row for David Cone. And the score at the end of 4.5 innings, the Dodgers 3, the Mets 2. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. Along with Rusty Staub, and Rusty, things are going to be nice and fine tomorrow when the old-timers come out here.
Well, I think everybody's looking forward to it, Ralph. I don't think there's a game that people appreciate more, and I know I'm looking forward to doing this. The Equitable people are sponsoring it, and it's been a marvelous thing for baseball.
And you'll be there?
I will be there. I'm not going to be on the field a lot, but I'm going to be there.
Well, you're right here now as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Dodgers leading by a score of 3-2. And the Mets hitting here against Fernando Valenzuela. Howard Johnson will lead it off for the Mets. Howard on a check swing bounced back to the mound his first time up. This ball ripped down the line, extra bases. Ball off the fence in left field. Guerrero gets it back in, and Johnson, representing the tying run, is on at second base with no one out here in the bottom half of the 5th.
Fernando just brings a fastball right into the zone, and another extra base hit by the New York Mets. Almost fell rounding first base, but in easily. Howard Johnson has outstanding speed.
Mets have not had a single in this ball game. They've had 2 home runs, one by Mookie Wilson in the 3rd, the other by Darryl Strawberry in the 4th. And Keith Hernandez doubled in the 1st, and Howard Johnson has doubled here in the 5th. That'll bring up Rafael Santana. Santana struck out his first time up. And strike 1.
We're in that situation again. There's nobody out and a man on second base, but with pitcher David Cone, a very inexperienced batter behind the plate, this is not the time for Santana to try to just move the runner. He's got to try to drive this runner in right now.
It's a mistaken thing that you should give yourself up in situations like this. Make an out even though you move the runner up, but you got to hit away. Johnson going to 3rd, and a good throw will get him, and he is out. Johnson with a late start and unable to get over to 3rd, even though the ball was hit behind him.
Well, this is a gutsy play by Mariano Duncan. You're going to see this ball. Johnson breaks. Mariano Duncan's got to make a tough decision. Pivot, throw with the runner going right at 3rd base. He throws it up the line a little bit, but gets the ball there quick enough, and I'll tell you, that's a pretty close play. Let's see if he puts that tag on him before the foot hits the base. Well, his foot's in there, and that tag came late.
And it is a close play, and the Dodgers now looking for the sacrifice from David Cone.
He's got that glove coming. That's a close play.
And Cone pops it up, but it's out of reach.
Again, we're in that situation, Ralph, where both the 3rd baseman and the 1st baseman are charging extremely hard. The shortstop is moving toward second base. The second baseman's moving toward 1st. And if David Cone lays down a good bunt, they're going to throw the runner out at second base and probably get a double play. If he bunts the ball softly in the infield, it's going to have to be some kind of an unusual play for him not to do that. This is where they have that old butcher boy where you fake the bunt and you punch the ball.
And that pitch a ball, so the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
That time Stubbs at first base did not get a big jump coming in. That's the key for the guy at the plate right now. He's got to check that first baseman and see what kind of jump he gets. The 3rd baseman's already in.
Cone bunts it, and Valenzuela with a play at second. He gets the out there, but they don't get the double play as Cone hustles down the line. As I mentioned earlier, Valenzuela, a fine defensive pitcher.
Well, they're all coming in. It's a ball bunted firmly. Fernando makes a good play, and it's a good come-in at second base. Mariano Dunkel must not have had this ball well, because he could have had a chance to get David Cone at first base. He just backs off and does not have the ball well, and it looks like it's in his hand. He just backed off.
He sure took a long way around to get around the sliding runner, and that cost him some time.
Good aggressive base running by Santana, avoiding a double play.
So now the pitcher, the runner at first, so they're not going to hold him on. And the batter is Mookie Wilson, who homered back in the third. Mookie had struck out his first time up, and that ball almost hits him. How he got out of the way, I don't know. That could have been a purpose pitch. Mookie Wilson has really been hitting Valenzuela hard in his major league career. And that pitch, this guy's control is perfect.
Well, I kind of think that was a little bit of a purpose pitch too, Ralph. Mookie's a .313 hitter in his last 27 games, but in his career he's .333 against Fernando, and that was coming into this game.
And he's 1 for 2 against him in this game.
So here's the home run right here. That's just like a little tad of a sinking fastball away, which didn't sink. The only place it sunk was in the left center field bleachers.
2 balls, no strikes. And another ball driven to deep left field. It is off of the wall. Cone going to third, and he'll be held there. And Mookie again with another drive off of Fernando Valenzuela.
And not too happy Tom Lasorda, but a very happy Mookie Wilson, answering a pitcher the best way a hitter can if he's been knocked off the plate. Driving the ball deep in the left center field off the wall for a double.
So now runners in scoring position with 2 men out. The batter will be Tim Tuffle. Tuffle is 0 for 2. Flied out the left his first time up, and flied out the deep right his second. Mets still have not had a single in this game off Valenzuela. 3 doubles and 2 home runs. And the fastball right through. Tuffle started this ball game hitting .404. Dodgers leading by a score of 3-2, so the Mets have the go-ahead run at second with 2 men out here in the bottom half of the 5th.
It was Ron Peronowski, the pitching coach for the Dodgers, talking to Tommy Lasorda there. Ron Peronowski, one of the finer relief pitchers in baseball for over a decade. Both for the Dodgers in the American League for a short time with Minnesota.
And it's inside the ball, and the count 1-1. There's another fine relief pitcher in this ballpark, but he's in civilian clothes. Bill Rieger.
Yes, he's scouting for the Dodgers.
The Vulture, they called him when he pitched for the Dodgers. A great relief pitcher.
He had the original split-fingered fastball. He just put grease on it. It was split.
And this ball popped up, and it should be playable. Third baseman Tracy Wood makes the catch, so Woodson puts it away, and that'll do it. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left in scoring position. The score at the end of 5, the Dodgers 3, the Mets 2. Now here's a word from Wang Laboratory.
Starting the top of the 6th inning. Dodgers ahead 3-2. Welcome Steve Zabriskie to the booth. Steve.
Thanks a lot, Russ. Hi, everybody. 3-2. And the hits are even at 5 as we go to the top of the 6th inning, and Pedro Guerrero, or rather Kenny Landreau, leads it off. Landreau has walked and singled, and he takes a breaking ball from Dave Cone for strike 1. Landreau singled to left, but was thrown out at second, trying for 2 on a great play by Kevin McReynolds. Not the first time we have seen that.
And Ken Landreau on that play did not round first base well. It cost him.
Grounded to first. Hernandez will flip to Cone covering. 1 away. Keith has been busy. And here's Pedro Guerrero, who has accounted for all 3 Dodger runs with his homer in the first inning after Cone had walked 2.
Pedro is so strong. It didn't even look like he hit that ball on the screws. It looked like he hit it a little bit up on the bat. But he certainly had enough to carry the ballpark.
Out into the New York bullpen, and at that point the Dodgers led 3-0. The Mets scored single runs in the 3rd and 4th innings on home runs by Mookie Wilson and Darryl Strawberry. And a good breaking ball for strike one.
That's the curve I love from him, Steve. We keep talking about it. That over-the-top, tight, breaking down curveball.
Now he comes sidearm and misses, so it's 1-1.
If you saw Pedro Guerrero there's not one part of his left side that turned away from that side-on curve or side-on pitch. It's one of the things where I think David Cone is going to realize down the line that that pitch, especially against the better hitters, is going to get him in trouble and not help him.
Plus, when he throws that sidearm slider, it really doesn't have that much break on it, nor is it thrown with a great deal of authority.
The velocity actually is less.
And there again, the overhand curveball, and Carter and Cone thought they had a strike, but it's 2-1. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 right here on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out and nobody on in the 6th inning. And a big curveball. It's 2-2.
You see the pitches through 5 innings, the 2 pitchers. Fairly close. Valenzuela a few more strikes and a few less balls.
And you would expect that with Fernando's control, but Cone, who walked 2 in the 1st inning and got out of it, giving up only 3 runs with the home run and left 2 on base, has really settled down since then. Dodgers have had single hits, both singles in the 2nd and 3rd inning.
There's something I didn't realize, Steve. Pedro Guerrero was originally signed by the Cleveland Indians. That's one I got to put in the book.
At the time that trade was made, it did raise an eyebrow or 2. David Cone picks up his 5th strikeout, and there are 2 out now here in the 6th.
Well, he comes side on, and it's effective.
Now batting, catcher
Guerrero swings and misses.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Mets and WWOR-TV. It is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WWOR-TV is prohibited. Mike Scioscia, 0 for 2, has grounded to 2nd and popped out to Howard Johnson at 3rd base. And a fastball is ripped down the line, foul. 1-1.
Timmy was talking earlier about Mike Scioscia and his ability and his strength and his leadership on the Dodgers, and it is so very true. Some people think the only reason why Tommy Lasorda has him in the lineup is because he's Italian. They're wrong.
No, he can play. There's no doubt about that. That may be one of his gloves that's being worked on in the Dodger dugout. Cone bounces one up there. 2 balls, 1 strike. Scioscia in the last 28 games has hit .307 to get his average up above .280, and a big crowd on hand at Shea. Always the case when the Dodgers come back to New York. Fastball low, 3-1. Big crowd probably on hand tomorrow to watch Daniel Joseph Staub cavort with the old-timers.
Well, I'm sure they're here to watch a lot of other people, too. I'll just be one of them.
Ball 4 is low. 3rd walk issued by Cone. And that breaks a string of 11 in a row that he's retired.
Tracy Woodson.
Tracy Woodson's 1 for 2. He singled at an infield base hit in the 1st inning and grounded to 2nd in the 4th. Ball 1. That old-timers game tomorrow is scheduled to get underway at 12:30. The regular game starting at 2:20. Just outside with a fastball, 2-0.
I will say one thing about this particular game. Dave Pallone, the umpire behind the plate, for the first time in a long time, has been very unrecognizable in this game. I think that's a real positive for him. The last time I was on and he was the umpire, I said you always notice him in the game, and he's doing a fine job tonight.
That breaking ball had Woodson turning away. It's 2-1.
Credit where credit is due. He's doing a heck of a job behind the plate tonight. He has a good curveball. Woodson turning away.
And Cone and Carter go outside now, and it's 2-2.
Well, that's an automatic. When he turned off that ball as quick as he did on the first pitch, and that curveball was just a kind of a tight curveball in, he is vulnerable.
Scioscia running, and the fastball is strike 3. David Cone strikes out 2, give him a total of 6, and after 6, a 1-run game with the Dodgers leading New York 3-2, and we're back after this for Budweiser. 6th inning here at Shea, a 3-2 Dodger lead, and Keith Hernandez will lead it off against Fernando Valenzuela for New York. Hernandez has doubled and grounded to second. Sachs making a good play on a ball up the middle in the 4th inning to retire Hernandez. And Keith now has hit in 11 of the last 13 games. And he doesn't like the grip he has on the bat, so he steps out for a moment.
It's good to slow Valenzuela down from time to time. He likes to have his own rhythm, his own beat. Mix it up on him.
Fouled off for strike 1.
That's what every hitter should think. You can remember guys like Steve Carlton and Bob Gibson. The only problem with that, sometimes they don't like it. They kind of answer with a little chin music.
And Fernando, the last inning, threw one inside to Mookie Wilson, who had homered and has hit Fernando very well throughout his career. Breaking ball inside, 1-1.
The curveball is a pitch that Fernando has used less and less against left-handers. I don't know why, because it's a very good pitch he has.
And as Ralph mentioned earlier, you do not ordinarily see a good screwball pitcher with a good curveball.
That was the big breaker right there.
There it is again, low and away, and it's 2-1.
Well, he's used the other pitches against Keith Hernandez, and he's been successful. It's Freddie. Big curve.
Just low, 3-1.
This is the tightest strike zone I have ever seen Dave Pallone have in all the games I've ever played or watched when he's been behind the plate. And I compliment him again on it.
Ball 4 looked very, very close. Fernando staring in at Dave Pallone. And Hernandez leads off the bottom of the 6th with a walk.
Well, here's the pitch. It's another breaking ball away. I guess I might be speaking too much for the hitters. I'm sure all the people that are ex-pitchers or pitchers out there are saying just the opposite. But I think there's been a consistency to what Pallone has done tonight that is something that should be credit for him.
And if there has been criticism of him, it has been inconsistency in calling balls and strikes. Kevin McReynolds fouls it off for strike 1. McReynolds 0 for 2 has struck out and popped out to first. Hernandez being held by Stubbs with nobody out, and the Dodgers leading by 1 here in the 6th inning. Fastball hit high and deep to left. Guerrero at the fence. It's out of here. The Mets take a 1-run lead, 4-3 on Kevin McReynolds' 7th home run of the year. And Fernando has given up 3 home runs in this game.
The Mets have yet to have less than an extra base hit on all 5 hits. 3 home runs, 2 doubles. And this is a Baby Ruth home run right here, folks. This ball is way up there. Guerrero looking, and that ball, when he gave up on it, that ball still had a long way to come down.
So the Mets now lead 4-3, and here's Darryl Strawberry, who hammered one off the scoreboard in the 4th inning. Ball 1.
Here's Valenzuela, fastball out over the plate, and this is way up on the scoreboard, just way up there.
2 to Darryl.
I think that's the longest home run I've seen Darryl hit in this ballpark.
In this ballpark. He hit one in St. Louis. It was probably farther than I saw, but you don't hardly ever see a ball hit the black part of the scoreboard here. Occasionally, and Darrell's done it as often as anybody, they'll hit the bottom of the scoreboard. But that ball was...
That was more than halfway up.
That was up in the numbers. Sochi out for a brief conference with Valenzuela, who coming into this game had only given up 4 home runs all year in 60 innings of work. And tonight, in less than 6 innings, the Mets have touched him for 3. Strike called, and it's 2-1. Another fastball, and it's... Darrell's saying no, but those were 2 very good pitches.
4 home runs in 60 coming into tonight's game, and he's given up 3 in not quite 6 innings against the New York Mets.
And the count is full to Strawberry, 3-2. There's nobody out here in the 6th inning. Hernandez walked. Kevin McReynolds deposited one in the bullpen and left for a 2-run home run. Guerrero's got a long way to go. If it's fair, it's foul. By about 3 feet, or Strawberry may have had a chance to go to third base on that ball had it landed in fair territory.
The thing that's so amazing about Valenzuela is that when he first started pitching for the Dodgers, he got off to a great start against the New York Mets. He won his first 4 games against the Mets. But in the last 10 appearances, as you see Tim Leary warming in the Dodger bullpen, he has lost 7 times out of 10 games to the New York Mets. And his last 5 decisions in Los Angeles against the Mets have been losses. And he's tougher in Los Angeles than he is anywhere.
Most of the Dodger pitchers are, and the reason for that has been expressed is that the mound in Dodger Stadium is a tad higher than anywhere else in the National League. Down low. Second walk of the inning. Strawberry at first and still no one out, and Gary Carter will be the hitter.
Now batting, Mets catcher, Gary Carter.
Carter tonight has struck out looking and grounded to short.
Uncharacteristic inning so far. Valenzuela, a walk, a home run, followed by a walk.
He had not walked anyone in the ball game coming into tonight, and he almost caught Strawberry napping. Fernando, not on the pitching rubber, snapped a throw over to Stubbs at first while Darrell was adjusting his helmet. And he got him picked off. Stubbs will go to Mariano Duncan, and Strawberry's out of there. And it'll go as a caught stealing.
Good move by Fernando. Stubbs makes the throw up the line. Tag down. That first baseman, especially if it's a left-hander, he has a little bit of advantage as far as the angle going to second base. He makes a good throw. Duncan doesn't exactly get that ball in there real quick. He's a little timid at the bag, they call it.
A little hesitant. And the pitch to Carter called a strike over the outside corner, 0-1.
Well, we certainly saw that on a possible double play ball when Rafael Santana slid in fairly firm at second base. He was moving away.
Fastball fouled away. 0-2 to Carter. As you see, the Dodgers with 8 complete games, and the Mets right behind them with 4. And as Tim mentioned earlier, last year Valenzuela himself had 20 complete games. Grounded to first. Stubbs to Valenzuela. 2 away. This year Fernando has 2 complete games, no shutouts, and is trying to weather the storm here in the 6th inning as he has lost his 1-run lead and now trails by 1. And Howard Johnson will be the batter with 2 out and nobody on. Bojo 1 for 2, double to left in the 5th inning.
Well, 3 has been the Dodgers' nemesis number. We talked about this earlier. They got 3 in the first, and they've been stuck on it ever since.
Breaking ball in there for strike
one. The last 5 games they've lost in a row, they scored 3 runs.
And they do not produce the kind of offense that has very often this season gotten them a whole lot more than 3 runs in a ball game. Ooh! Hojo took it. It looked like in the hip. Or maybe on the leg, maybe a little lower. Johnson flexing his left leg as he goes down to first. And Valenzuela, who knocked Mookie Wilson down earlier, possesses outstanding control. And he may just be a little tired of what's happened here tonight so far.
Well, a lot of times, too, when you're trying to pitch inside and you don't get the ball there, you get determined that you're going to get the pitches inside you want to get in. That hits him right above the left knee, is the way it looked like to me.
Apparently on the muscle part of the thigh. So probably not much in the way of permanent damage. And Hojo at first for Rafael Santana.
That stung, though. That really stung. He's hurting right now, I'm telling you.
Well, Jonathan Winters does a character named Elwood P. Suggins. And Elwood's great line is, "It'll be blue tomorrow." Off the end of the bat for strike 1. And Hojo's thigh will be blue tomorrow. Maybe a couple other colors thrown in there, too.
Elwood P. Suggins.
Elwood P. Suggins. About as country as you can get.
Dodgers playing Santana awfully deep and left and center. A little bit less than right.
Santana disagrees with Pallone on that strike call. It's 0-2. Here's Johnson at first. And Fernando had him going back to the bag.
He's also wincing on that knee. He's been swinging the bat great. You know Howard Johnson does not want to come out of that lineup.
Strike 3 as Socia digs it out and tags Santana. But the Mets take the lead here in the 6th inning with a 2-run home run by Kevin McReynolds, and it's 4-3 New York after 6. And we're back after this for Dodge. Now, talking to Mike Socia, and before he was talking to pitching coach Ron Peronowski.
Whatever they're talking about, they certainly agree on it.
Fernando's English has improved immeasurably since he first came into the league. And Franklin Stubbs leads it off for the Dodgers against Dave Cone here in the top of the 7th inning. Stubbs is 1 for 2 with a double to right back in the 1st inning. He struck out in the 4th. On the inside corner, 1-1. Mets leading 4-3 as they scored 2 on just 1 hit in the bottom of the 6th. Kevin McReynolds' 2-run homer. Fouled off, and that got a piece of Gary Carter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, in addition to Rusty Staub, some of the other former Mets who will be playing against the Brooklyn Dodgers old-timers tomorrow. Tommy Agee, Wayne Garrett, Jerry Grody, Ron Hunt, Al Jackson, Cleon Jones, Kuzman and Cranepool, Willie Mays, McGraw, Felix Millan, Shamsky, Swoboda, George Theodore, and Frank Thomas.
Yes, and they're going to face a group of ex-Brooklyn Dodgers. Leo DeRocha is going to manage. Duke Snyder, Joe Pignatano. I think Gary Carter got shook up pretty good on that play.
Dave Pallone giving him quite a bit of extra time, going out to the mound to Cone and then cleaning the plate off. Let Gary get it back together. Breaking ball fouled off. Still 1-2.
And Mickey Owens is going to be here. Eddie Milkes, Billy Lowe's, Cookie Lavagetto. You see Matt Young warming up in the Dodger bullpen. Tommy Lasorda, Clem Lubine, Clyde King, Gene Hermansky, Billy Herman. And we'll give you some more in a minute.
Lots of blasts from the past. 2-2 now.
Cal Abrams, Joe Brack, Ralph Branca, Dolph Camilli, Roy Campanella will be here. So will Carl Erskine.
So what a game we have planned here at Shea Stadium tomorrow.
And again, that's at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon before the start of the regular game at 2:20. High and deep, but foul down the right field line. So the count remains 2-2. Dave Cone breathes a little sigh of relief. Mariano Duncan and Fernando Valenzuela scheduled to follow Stubbs here in the 7th. 3-2.
The Equitable Old Timers games supply needed money to an organization called BAT, the Baseball Alumni Team. It's a foundation that helps veteran pitchers, and I mean veteran players.
Still 3-2. Stubbs fouls it off.
Each Old Timers game that is played, Equitable donates $10,000 to the BAT organization. The BAT organization turns 100% of the money. There you see Tim Leary joining Mac Young.
Ball 4.
And the Nissan scoreboard, National League, the final. Braves in Chicago, winning 9-5. Tie 1-1 in the 8th inning. Pirates in Cincinnati. In the 7th inning, the Giants lead the Phillies 2-0. In the 3rd inning, the Astros ahead of the Cardinals 1-0. And the Expos in San Diego later tonight.
Well, Mariano Duncan, who's the next hitter, stood outside the batter's box for a long time looking at Joe Amalfitano, the third base coach. Keith Hernandez in to talk to Dave Cone. Fernando, of course, is scheduled up after Duncan, but Fernando's a pretty darn good hitter. So Fernandez and Cone talking about the possibility of Duncan bunting here with the tying runner now at first and nobody out. Well, even though Fernando's coming up next.
Certainly Keith Hernandez and Howard Johnson are expecting the bunt. They're both in.
Duncan squares and takes a strike.
We mentioned this from time to time. We said a little bit about it earlier. Bunting into these situations where the first baseman and third baseman are going to charge you aggressively. This is a situation where if Lasorda was of a mind to, could either send that runner if Keith Hernandez leaves too early, put the hit and run on. There's a lot of options.
Well, Keith probably said to Dave Cone that we're going to throw over there, and they are. Hernandez going to the mound after the first pitch to Duncan. And they want to be sure that Stubbs doesn't just have that opportunity to freely take off. Duncan pops it up. Hernandez will go to second in time. Keith couldn't get there to get it on the fly, but he got there in time to get the lead runner at second, one away.
But the way this ball goes up in the air, it fools the runner Stubbs, and he holds up, and he's got absolutely no chance. He just realizes once the ball hits the ground that he's got no chance to get to second base. He really doesn't even look like he's hustling here because he knows he's going to be out.
He really got caught in between, and there was nothing he could do about it.
When you're on the bag and leading off first base and that ball is bunted in the air, you've got to freeze, especially as aggressively as Keith Hernandez charges the ball.
So Fernando Valenzuela will not hit.
Okay, we're going to watch Keith Hernandez. Comes up, takes a peek, sees he has him. Good throw. I don't know why he went down on his knees.
Fernando in the dugout with jacket on is out of the game. Ralph Bryant hitting .286. It's been hitting for him. 0-1. Pretty well hit to center field. Mookie Wilson headed for the warning track. Off the wall and by Mookie. Duncan is going to score the tying run. Bryant going to third in time. He'll have a triple and an RBI. And the Dodgers tie it at 4-4 here in the 7th.
Bryant certainly catches this fastball. It's down and away. He just reaches down in there, just digs it out, drives it against the center field.
Steve Sachs.
As you see the ball bouncing off that field, off the wall, The ball was hitting such dead center field. The left field and right field were playing so far away from Mookie Wilson. It took a while to get back to that ball, even though they were backing the play.
So Duncan in the dugout, having scored the tying run. There is one out. Bryant at third. And the batter, Steve Sachs, who's 1 for 3. He singled to right in the second inning. He's also lined out to center and struck out. Infield in all the way around. A squeeze is on, and Sachs fouls it off.
Well, all I can tell you on that play is if he had laid it down, they would have been successful.
This is not the safety squeeze either.
That was not safe in any way, shape, or form.
Bryant off with the pitch rather than waiting until the ball is bunted. But Sachs fouled it off, so it's strike one.
Tommy Lasorda trying to sneak a run across with that squeeze play, trying to catch the Mets unawares, and did.
You're right, Russ. Had the ball been bunted properly, there's no way they would have gotten Bryant. Sachs set to swing away, takes outside 1-1. One out here in the top of the 7th inning, and a run in for Los Angeles. It's 4-4. 2 balls, 1 strike.
There's a little side-on fastball there, kind of up and in. I don't know if that was with some intent. A lot of times when you're expecting that there might be a squeeze play, you might throw that fastball up and in.
Almost impossible to bunt. Now he goes down and away, and the count is 3-1.
John Shelby certainly is not a good man to.
Shelby on deck.
But you definitely do want to pitch Sachs tough right now. You don't want to give him this run.
And he goes after that breaking ball way out of the strike zone, so the count is full at 3-2.
And that's one of the major differences in baseball from when I first broke in to where it is right now. When I first broke in, you were supposed to challenge the guy with a fastball there. That meant you were, doing your job on the mound. If you threw a breaking ball and walked the guy, in a lot of situations, they would be on you. They would say you didn't have any guts. But nowadays, you see that breaking ball very, very often when they're behind the pitchers.
That's high and away, and ball 4. Well, I think part of the difference, Russ, too, is that there are probably more pitchers now that can get that breaking ball over behind them.
Now batting,
There were 20 years ago.
John Shelby.
That's the 5th walk issued by Cone. And so Carter out for a little conference and some activity beginning in the New York bullpen. And the Mets will determine how they will play the infield now with runners at first and third and 1 out. And as you mentioned earlier, Russ, with Shelby on deck, he is not an easy guy to double up. Here comes Davy Johnson out of the dugout, and that might be all for Dave Cone. And he is going to go to the bullpen.
Mets are going to see Gene Walter come in. Both Shelby and Landreau being left-handed. Let's have Leach in the bullpen, warming with Walter right now. In case they do get to Guerrero, you'll probably see Davy Johnson go to Terry Leach.
So as Gene Walter comes in with 2 on and 1 out, and a score tied at 4 here in the 7th. We'll be back after this for AT&T. The game after 6 1/3 innings, 4 runs on 6 hits. He struck out 6, but he did walk 5, and he can only lose this game. He cannot win it. He is responsible for the runners at first and third, and the score is tied. So it's either a no decision or a loss for Dave Cone, depending on what Gene Walter does, who is into the game to replace him with 1 out here in the 7th.
This is the 18th game for Gene Walter. His record's 1-2 with a 4.02 earned run average. He has not had a save yet in 1987. He's walked 12, struck out 9, given up 17 hits in 15 2/3 innings. And walks have definitely been the nemesis of David Cone tonight.
David walked 2 in the first inning with 1 out, and Pedro Guerrero homered to right. And that gave the Dodgers their first 3 runs. They led, of course, 3-0 after 1. And then he walked Franklin Stubbs to open this inning. Duncan forced him on a fielder's choice as Duncan tried to bunt him over. But then Ralph Bryant tripled off the center field wall, and that scored Duncan. And then Cone walked Steve Sachs. So runners at first and third with one out. And John Shelby, after joining the club from the Baltimore Orioles AAA affiliate today, 0 for 2 plus a walk. That's ball one. Shelby now batting right-handed against Walter. Ball two in the dirt, and Carter can't find it, and Sachs goes to second easily. Bryant holding at third, but Sachs able to go to second without a play as Gary blocked it nicely, but then couldn't find it.
It's a tough thing for a catcher when the ball hits the ground as quickly as this one did. He's looking for it. It's just one of those plays where you just can't get to it. It's a shame. Sachs, being alert, moves to second base.
And Sachs also the responsibility of Dave Cone, and also now the double play is gone, or the possibility at least of the routine double play, and the infield is now in all the way around once again for New York with runners at second and third. 2 balls the count. Ball 3. Now they're going to put Shelby on intentionally. Oh, baby, that ball almost got by Carter. What a play by Carter on what was supposed to be an intentional ball 4. And that ball was over the plate and almost skipped by Garrett.
We're going to get a good look at it here. Carter's got his hand out, expecting to jump out and just catch a nice little soft toss. And he did one heck of a job laying some leather on that ball.
Just got the heel of the glove on it to knock it down, or the go-ahead run could have waltzed home from third. So the bases are loaded now. The double play is back in order. Still only one out.
And a very intent David Cone.
He's got a little bit riding on this deal. Bill Madlock is out on deck, loosening up as a pinch hitter for Ken Landreau. And here comes Davy Johnson again now that Madlock, a right-handed hitter, has been announced. Davy's going to go back to the bullpen for Terry Leach, the right-hander. So the Mets continue to struggle out of the bullpen. And Leach will come in. The score is still tied 4-4 here in the 7th. And we'll return after this for Bartles and James.
His 13th game has no wins or losses, an earned run average of 2.38, no saves. In 22 and 2/3 innings, he's given up 22 hits. He's had 12 strikeouts and walked 5. And just pitched very, very well for Davy Johnson. 2 or 3 games he had a couple of rough outings. Not really rough. One might have been a little rough, but done a heck of a job.
Leach has only allowed 1 home run this year. And Madlock, of course, not the typical home run hitter, but does have power.
Madlock's hitting 190 coming into this at bat. He's had 2 appearances as a pinch hitter this year. He's been unsuccessful in both appearances.
So Madlock, who was on the disabled list in April and has played sparingly, will pinch hit for Ken Landreau. Gene Walter faces just 1 batter, John Shelby, and walks him, and it will go as an intentional walk, although an unusual.
Certainly an unusual. This is the 59th at bat this year for Madlock. Actually, John Madlock is not going to be here with the old timers tomorrow.
59 at-bats would take care of a season for John Matlack.
True. He's had a few home runs, 7 RBIs this year.
So Mad Dog, as they call him, will stand in there with the bases loaded and 1 out in a 4-4 tie here in the 7th. Terry Leach, the 3rd New York pitcher of the evening. Strike 1. And the crowd cheering its approval for the strike because Gene Walter was booed by the more than 42,000 on hand here tonight as he left the mound after walking the only batter he faced and not being able to throw 1 strike.
So Gary Carter wanted the ball inside.
Grounded past Leach. Santana gets the double play. Leach unable to get it, but Tuffle and Santana turn it, and the Mets get out of it with just 1 run being scored. And David Cone is over shaking the infielder's hands, I'll guarantee you. After 6.5, it's still 4-4, and we're back after this for Diet Pepsi. And take a look at that big double play that left the go-ahead run at 3rd.
Sinker jams him, and he gets a terrible jump out of the box. He's looking at the play. Good turn. Just nips him at the bag. Another angle.
When the ball was first hit, it appeared that if Leach would be unable to make the play, that the Mets would have very little chance for a double play. And Santana's throw is a little high. And here's Dave Cohn's reaction as the umpire at first, Dutch Rennert, calls him out.
That's what you call a sigh of relief right there.
Well, whether or not the Mets win or lose the game remains to be seen, but Dave Cohn, who was responsible for that runner at 3rd and also the one at 2nd base, relieved that he at least will not suffer the loss tonight. So we're on to the bottom of the 7th inning, still tied at 4-4. Bryant stays in the game in right field for Los Angeles. And a new pitcher into the game, Matt Young, the left-hander, replacing Fernando Valenzuela.
As you see, a 1-4 record, 8.79 earned run average with 2 saves. In 14 1/3 innings, he's had 7 walks, 15 strikeouts, and given up 21 hits.
So Scioscia and Young have their conference to be sure they're straight on the signs. And the Mets are going to send up Lee Mazzilli as a pinch hitter for Terry Leach. One of the things that Davy Johnson had to contend with in that inning, the top half of this inning, was that the pitcher was scheduled to lead off the inning. And he relieved Dave Cohn, who went to Gene Walter, and then Terry Leach. So all 3 of those pitchers are out of the game, as Mazzilli will pinch hit for Leach.
Davy Johnson has Roger McDowell warming in the bullpen right now, so he will be the pitcher come the top of the 8th inning.
As you see, Mazzilli hitting .409. He is 6 for 14 as a pinch hitter, with a home run and 3 RBIs, coming as a pinch hitter. And he squared to bunt, but took high, ball 1.
Mazzilli's job is to get on base. The infield at 1st and 3rd was playing him extremely deep. 2nd base is almost on the grass. Thought he'd just kind of jolt him a little bit and fake that bunt. I think he would have laid it down if he had a good pitch to bunt myself.
Fastball fouled off the hands, out of play, and the count 1-1. Mookie Wilson on deck. Mazzilli, who had an outstanding spring training, has been able to keep it going under difficult circumstances of pinch hitting and not playing very often, something Rusty knows a little bit about.
Do I? I've never did that.
Grounded to short. Duncan on a short hop, can't make the play. A few expletives not deleted by Tom Lasorda, as Duncan is unable to come up with it.
Well, he's got to charge this ball. Mazzilli gets out of the box. He runs well. He knows he's got to come in and try to make this play. Does not come up with it. The Mets have a base runner. So far, they haven't called this play yet. We don't know whether they've given a hit or an error.
They have now scored at a base hit. And I don't agree with that. I think that ball was misplayed.
I agree with you, Steve. I think it's great for Lee Mazzilli to get a hit. But Mariano Duncan's got to make that play.
It does, however, go as an infield hit for Mazzilli, the Mets' 7th of the night. And he's at first for Mookie Wilson, who has homered and doubled in 3 trips. Young stepping off.
Dodgers have had 9 balks this season already. The Mets thought they had a lot. They had 6. So the Dodgers have been having a little trouble figuring out how to go to first base, too.
Mookie Wilson bunting and foul in foul territory. And Stubbs, with apparently no chance to make the play on the ball, didn't go after it very aggressively.
No, he did not. I think most of the balks this season have been called because of the pitchers not taking that little delay, that little 1-second delay they call it, in delivering to the plate. Is supposed to come to a complete stop at some point. And tremendous numbers of balks called on that in 1987.
I think it's a reaction, Rusty, to the speed in the game, and the pitchers are trying to combat that by not stopping, and the umpires are combating what the pitchers are doing by calling balks. Mookie bunting again, and it's a pretty good one. They'll have to hurry to get him. And then Young throws it away. Mazzilli to third. Mazzilli's going to score. Mookie going to third. Here's the throw. Safe. It'll be a base hit on the bunt by Mookie Wilson. And a big error on the throw by Matt Young that bounced off the side of the stands in right field.
Well, we're going to see one of the cardinal reasons right now why you don't let a pitcher pick the ball up. He was too aggressive here. He should have let the third baseman Woodard take this ball. He picks it up. He doesn't have it good in his hand and just unleashes it. The Mets get a real break the way it hits that kind of a screen fence that's down the left field line. It bounces way off. And not only do the Mets get a run, but Mookie Wilson's on third base with nobody out. As is looking at the throw, he's going. He sees it take the bad hop. A lot of people say you have to pick up that third base coach. You don't have to. Good base runner always has his eye on the ball.
Mazzilli scores the go-ahead run, and the Mets lead 5-4. Still nobody out here in the 7th inning. A pitch out, but nothing happened as the infield's in and Mookie's at third. I think I said Mookie will have a hit, but Mookie gets a sacrifice on this.
Well, there's nothing better than to watch Mookie Wilson get after it when he wants to run. Now all of a sudden he sees where it is and he picks it up again.
Boy, can he motor. So Mookie on third, nobody out, and Tuffle the batter. Tuffle 0 for 3. Inside, but on the inside corner, and it's strike 1. 1-1. Tuffle has flied deep to left, flied deep to right, and popped to short. Fastball is fouled off. The count 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Every hitter begs for a situation where there are no outs, the infield playing in, and a runner with the speed of Mookie Wilson on third base. You just can't overswing in a situation like this. You got to make some contact. Obviously, it's the job of the pitcher to pitch that hitter very tough.
Fastball might have been out of the strike zone, and Tuffle fouled it back. Tuffle likes the ball up and has on occasion handled it well. The count's still 1-2.
Well, Matt Young's brief work with the Dodgers, he has certainly struggled. The breaks have not gone well for him, definitely tonight.
Did Tuffle hold up? No, says Dave Pallone. And it's strike 3. So the first strikeout for Young and the first out here in the 7th.
Hernandez.
All right, Young, good breaking ball, good pickup by Socia. And Tim Tuffle definitely could not hold the bat up on that swing.
So Mookie still at third, now with one away for Keith Hernandez, who is 1 for 2 plus a walk. Hernandez with a double to right in the first inning, grounded to second in the 4th, and walked and scored ahead of McReynolds' home run in the 6th. Mets leading 5-4 as the Dodgers tied it with a run in the top of the 7th, and the Mets have taken the lead with a run here in the bottom of the inning. Hold off. Strike 1. Socia out now to talk to Young.
This is a situation that Keith Hernandez has put a lot of pressure on himself so far in 1987. He's had this situation a lot of times, and during the one period of time when he was struggling, I think putting the pressure on himself is what got him out as much as anything. In these situations, you just have to relax, try to move the ball as firmly as you can, I think, through the gaps. Not thinking to try to pull the ball. Just hit the ball hard.
That's out of play, and it's 0-2. Hernandez, throughout the last few years of his career in particular, has been one of the very best in the league at getting a runner home from third with less than 2 out. As you see Kevin McReynolds on deck.
And he was certainly mad at himself on both those pitches. He felt he should have hit both pitches. Matt Young challenging him with the fastball in.
Fastball again, and again it's fouled off. Still 0-2.
That was a cute maneuver by the catcher Socia. He kind of walked on one foot toward the outside part of the plate and then came back inside to make sure that nobody was giving Hernandez a location.
Mookie at third. 1 away and an 0-2 count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, that's 4 fastballs in a row inside. I know one thing, if he threw me a curve right now, pal, I'd be gone. If he threw a good curveball down on the way, you got to be battling.
You'd have your derriere going one way and the bat head going another.
Actually, what you have to do here, and what I would be trying to do, is to stay back, and even if the ball is inside, I try to be going strong through the middle, an inside-out swing. I wouldn't concede anything to him.
Another fastball, and this one off the plate inside. 2-2.
Challenge type at bat. Young just pounding inside on Hernandez. This is great. I love this.
Confrontational baseball. Another fastball. He has not yet thrown Hernandez a breaking ball. Socia now going out to again talk to Young.
I'm sure when they discussed this before the game, they had made a decision that they were going to pitch Keith Hernandez tough like this. But after so many fastballs in, I guess Socia, I would think, would be going out saying, do you still want to keep pounding in? Do you want to do anything different?
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Coming inside again.
And again, it's too far inside, so it's 3-2. Well, now Young has an interesting situation here with a 3-2 count and only 1 out to Hernandez and a right-handed hitter, Kevin McReynolds, on deck.
Do have Howell down in the bullpen ready to throw. says probably in that situation he's thinking a little too much. He says, nope, stop thinking, hit.
Hit what you see.
I certainly hope that's what he's thinking.
And again, it's too far inside. That was a breaking ball. And Hernandez walks.
And they wanted that breaking ball out over the plate. That's the first one they were going to throw him.
Now batting.
First walk issued by Young.
Kevin McReynolds.
Mets now with runners at first and third for Kevin McReynolds, who has hit a 2-run home run and 3 trips to the plate. It was his 7th of the year.
Third, short, and second are back now for the double play. Outfield deep.
Fastball broken, bat grounded to third. Woodson goes to second for one. No, not in time. Safe at first.
On this play, knowing McReynolds' speed, I think they should have gone to the plate.
Mookie scoring to make it 6-4 New York. And Dutch Rennert almost called McReynolds out.
He's coming in, decides to go for the double play. McReynolds definitely beats this throw. Way, way ahead of the throw. Dutch was anticipating a little bit, but then made the right call. You see now the one gets jammed a little bit. Mookie got a fairly good jump, but I think he would have had a better chance of not letting the Mets get a second run ahead of the Dodgers. Had he gone to the plate, he could have got Mookie Wilson.
And I think Steve Sachs got caught a little on his front foot that time and wasn't able to really get a lot on the throw to first. Here's Mookie at third base. He's coming all the way.
Socia certainly wanted to have the ball.
Darrell lines one foul down the left field line.
And there's one thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve. There's certainly one thing for sure. Had that throw come to home plate, Mike Socia would have been blocking home plate.
You saw where Mookie was running too on the inside part of the baseline.
Well, that's why I really felt like the throw would have, should have gone to the plate, because with a guy as tough as nails as he is not giving up home plate for anybody. There's no way you're going to get a double play on a. He wants the ball. He's got his hands there. You saw where his foot was over that base. Mookie Wilson would have had to slide through him. I mean, through him to get there.
Nobody's better right now in the league than Mike Socia at blocking home plate. Way inside with a fastball to Strawberry. And the count 2 balls, 1 strike. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. McReynolds at first with 2 out. Mets leading 6-4 as they have scored 2 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Darrell has struck out, homered off the scoreboard, and walked. A strike on the inside corner, and it's even now 2-2.
They've been talking in the paper about the Mets talking about the word momentum. If the Mets come back and actually hold on and win this game, having been down 3-0 in the first inning to Freddie Valenzuela, all I can tell you, this is a big game for the New York Mets.
Fastball, strike 3. Again, Darrell thought it was inside, but Matt Young punches him out to end the inning. However, New York scores 2 on just 1 base hit. And the Mets lead 6-4 as we go to the 8th. We say so long to Russ, and Tim will come back in after this for Bud Light. Matt Young on the bench now, having gotten out of the inning, but he did give up 2 runs. And here's when he first came in as he slams his glove down on the bench. And the Mets lead 6-4. Lee Mazzilli, who scored the go-ahead run, stays in the game and replaces Darrell Strawberry in right field as Strawberry made the last out. So Roger McDowell will bat 5th in the order as he enters the game. Roger, as you see, making his 5th appearance since coming back from hernia surgery. 1-0 with 2 saves and a 1.17 ERA. He's worked 7 2/3 innings. Has not walked a batter, struck out 3. He's given up 6 base hits and no home runs. And he is the 4th pitcher of the night for New York. And as we go to the 8th inning with the Mets leading by 2, back in again, Tim McCarver.
I guess you could say after that 7th inning that fairy tales may be true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. The Mets are certainly young at heart right now. Matt Young, a shaky 7th inning. The overthrow of first base on the bunt play after the disputed infield base hit The ball, I agree with you, Steve. I thought that was a big league boot. That ball's got to be come up with by Mariano Duncan. Here's Guerrero, and the fastball is inside. 6-4, New York on top. Pedro, a 3-run homer in the first inning, and he has struck out a couple of times. So from the warehouse, or from the penthouse to the warehouse, huh? Pops this one up. It could be playable. Carter off with the mask, and he makes the catch. Something you rarely see, a pop-up in foul territory off Roger McDowell.
That's true. And also, probably, and you can attest to this, I guess, as well as anybody, Jimmy, but this has got to be one of the more difficult plays for a catcher. The ball over your head, and it's coming back toward fair territory. And notice how Gary got that mask way out of the way.
Yeah, you take it off, you wait, you find the ball, and then you make sure that you don't go too deep, too close to the stands, because then that's when you start backpedaling. That ball coming back toward the infield. Fastball Associa is down. Mike 0 for 2 on the night. He has walked. Popped to first, or to third, and he's grounded to second base. Ball 2. Lee Mazzilli left into this ball game, as Steve said. He will continue to bat ninth. Roger McDowell batting in Darryl Strawberry's place. Fastball is outside. To Mike Socia. Mets with a 2-run lead, 1 out, nobody on in the 8th, and there's a strike. Ball 4. So Socia is on, and the batter Tracy Woodson.
Here's the Nissan American League scoreboard. In the 8th inning, Chicago and Boston tied 3-3. In the 7th, Detroit and Minnesota tied 2-2. In the 6th, Cleveland and Milwaukee tied 1-1. The Royals are the only American League team to lead. In the 4th, they lead the Rangers in Texas 4-0, and everything else is later this evening.
Tracy Woodson, the 21-year-old third baseman, is 1 for 3. He singled an infield hit back in the first inning. Ground ball right side. Tuffle will get the lead runner. No chance to get Woodson. 2 outs. Good play by Tuffle to make sure that he got Socia.
And made a good play and a difficult play because Tim was going so hard toward first base. But again, as you've pointed out so often, Timmy, footwork as important for an infielder as anybody on the field. And here Tim Tuffle, with good footwork, gets himself in a good position to make a throw to Santana, and Raffy getting out of the way in a hurry.
You know, when you think about it, Tim Tuffle's all-around defense has improved this year also. His range, I think he's a step or two farther out. Here's Franklin Stubbs in a swing and a miss. Here's a guy who could tie it in a hurry, I'll tell you that.
Stubbs has doubled tonight, but for some reason, even though he's entering the game hitting .275 with 7 home runs against the league, he has really struggled since coming up against the New York Mets.
Tapper toward first, an easy play for Hernandez, and an easy inning, relatively speaking, for that man. It's 6-4 New York, middle of the 8th, and we'll be back after this word from Nissan.
0-1 with an ERA of 6.05, making his 13th appearance. He has yet to pick up a save. He's worked 19 1/3 innings. He has given up 13 earned runs. He's struck out 14, walked 6, and allowed 4 homers already this year. So Leary in relief of Young, who relieved 1 inning for Fernando Valenzuela.
But the most important thing, Rockin' Robin in the background. Who sang that? The Dell Vikings? We found out that it was made popular in 1958.
I don't think it was the Dell Vikings. I can't think of who it was, but I would dare say it was not the Dell Vikings.
I remember Ann Rudd and I won the dance party when I was a junior in high school. Very important, the WHBQ dance party. And the host for that dance party in Memphis was Wink Martindale.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Thank you very much.
Hey, right here. Right here on WHBQ.
Here's Gary Carter.
Did they play the bottom 500 of the top 2,000 hits?
We had about 8,000 people all bunched in there. You couldn't even dance, man.
But you won?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we won it just for that week, and then you had to raise like a penny a vote for charity, and we didn't know anybody that wealthy, so we only raised about $2.50 or something. So we lost to the wealthier couple. 1-0 to Gary Carter. We understand it was Bobby Day, Bill Webb tells us.
Bobby Day.
Rockin' Robin. The back of that record was over and over again.
That is correct. Very good. Boy, you're into your trivia. Of course, I guess you wouldn't know that if you hadn't won the dance contest.
That's correct.
Dancing.
That's correct. The HBQ dance party. Ground ball base hit for Carter.
I love it. WHBQ. Well, Gary's first hit of the night, and he has been showing signs of breaking out of his prolonged slump. Look at that ball take off. Boy, that ball had some overspin on it. He hit it hard. 9th hit for the Mets.
And the batter, Howard Johnson. Howard, a result in the 5th inning. And he was hit as resoundingly on the knee. His next time up, he's 1 for 2. He appears to. Fernando Valenzuela gave up 4 runs, all attributed to the long ball. 2 solo homers and a 2-run homer. Mets lead 6-4, bottom of the 8th. Slider for a strike. And it's 0-1 to Howard Johnson.
Time called as a beach ball rolled down the screen and onto the warning track behind home plate. So while it is retrieved,
Shades of Frankie Avalon and Ted Funicello.
beach blanket.
Curveball misses outside, 1-1. Stubbs behind Carter at first base. Gary no threat to run, of course. The Mets with 9 hits. Los Angeles with 6. Another curveball is inside, 2-1. Tim Leary, I guess, is enigmatic as any young major league pitcher. He's 28 years old. He was 12-12 for the Brewers last year in Milwaukee. He came to Los Angeles in the Greg Brock deal over the wintertime. Grounded sharply, but there's Stubbs. He's going to go to second, and the tag is out. A nicely turned double play by Franklin Stubbs and Mariano Duncan. 2 outs.
Mets shortstop, Rafael Santana.
Howard Johnson pulls that ball going away from him and unable to get much authority on it. And Stubbs so close to the bag, and Carter not running well, so he elects to step on the bag, and Duncan makes the tag. All the elements absolutely perfect for the Dodgers to be able to turn that into a double play.
Rafael Santana takes a curve for a strike. Rafi 0 for 3 on the night. On a fielder's choice in the 5th, and he struck out a couple of times. Fastball is tight, 1-1. I say enigmatic in Leary's case because #1 draft choice of the Mets back in 1979. You see him throw on the side, see him throw during the games. Quality fastball, good curveball, relatively good control, but somehow he has not been a winner. Makes you kind of scratch your head.
Well, I think it typifies one thing.
Ground ball up the middle.
And that is that there's a lot more to the game than just physical skill.
After 8, it's 6-4 New York, and we go to the 9th after this word from the good olds guys. the scoring summary on this evening, Shelby and Landreau walked, and then Pedro Guerrero hit his 11th home run in the first. And with the Dodgers up 3-0 in the third, a solo homer by Mookie Wilson. Then in the fourth inning, another solo homer by Darryl Strawberry, and Kevin McReynolds put the Mets ahead with a 2-run shot in the sixth. In the seventh inning, Stubbs walked. Ralph Bryant pinch hit a triple off the center field wall. Terry Leach with the big double play ball with the bases loaded. And then the Mets took the lead in the bottom of the seventh with 2 runs, and that's where we stand, 6-4 New York. Fastball for a strike to Mariano Duncan.
Duncan to be followed tonight by Ralph Bryant, who stayed in the game in the outfield. And then the top of the order in Steve. As Roger McDowell tries for save number 3. Just missing low and away. Duncan tonight 0 for 3 has struck out, fly deep to right, and reached on a fielder's choice in an effort to bunt in the 7th inning. Fouled away out of play, and it's 1-1. Some of the crowd leaving the ballpark here in the 9th inning with the Mets up by 2, but a total of 42,215 here in the house tonight, and the paid crowd of 40,885. And the Mets expecting a couple of more big crowds tomorrow and Sunday afternoons at the Dodgers here.
Still some seats left, however, for both games.
Yep. Grounded weakly to third. Johnson waits for it and guns out with Speedy Duncan, 1 away in the 9th inning.
It's like a cartoon character.
Yeah, somehow related to Speedy Gonzalez, I guess. So with 1 out and nobody on, Ralph Bryant will be the batter. Bryant with that pinch hit triple back in the 7th inning. Wound up being stranded at third, as you said, Tim, that big double play ball Terry Leach was able to get off the bat of Bill Madlock. Misses the sinker, strike 1.
I think one of the keys was not that necessarily that Terry Leach got the ground ball, but how he got it. I thought Rusty explained it very well. By Madlock being jammed on the pitch, he couldn't get out of the box, and that eventually was the difference in turning the double play.
Strike 2. When the ball was initially hit, it didn't appear to be sharply enough to be a double play. The Mets leading 6-4 in the 9th inning. Strike 3. First strikeout for McDowell, and there are 2 out here in the 9th. And the Dodgers may be going down yet again.
I was going to say, Tommy Lasorda probably telling Ron Peronowski, that's the way you used to throw your sinker. And that is the way he used to throw it. Boy, you talk about a good big league reliever. That was Ron Peronowski. He could get you out.
And he did get a lot of guys out. Well, the Dodgers, who have lost 6 in a row, down to their final out. Sachs takes a strike. Steve tonight 1 for 3 plus a walk.
Just going over the National League team statistics. And this game, I think, exhibits exactly what the statistics tell. They really tell the story of the Dodgers this year. The Dodgers lead the league in complete games, but they're last in saves. Their bullpen has been horrendous, and again tonight, they have not done the job, even though the Dodgers are second in the National League in ERA.
It's not necessarily how many runs, but when those runs are given up, and of course how many you score, and the Dodgers have not been scoring that many. This could do it. Tuffle in time, and the Mets win. Roger McDowell with his 3rd save to go with 1 win since coming back to the Mets after missing the first quarter of the season. And the win tonight goes to Terry Leach, who picks up his first victory since back in 1985. And the losing pitcher, Matt Young, who gave up the 2 tie-breaking runs in his only inning of work in the 7th, his record is now 1-5 on the year. So again, it's the bullpen of the Dodgers that suffers the loss, and the Dodgers have now lost 7 consecutive ball games. They did, however, score more than 3 runs tonight. Mets win it 6-4. Tim and I'll be right back to wrap it up. And of course, Ralph is standing by with Kiner's Corner for you. We'll return to Shea after this for Ford.